Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Évora here. This is a city in Portugal in the Roman times, and they built a nice little Roman temple there. So that's what you're going to do here by moving workers on a large roundabout. Sometimes we call these rondelles in games, and you're doing that to build these really cool looking columns and score points for them. Here we go. In this game, players are going to be building nice little columns here. Sometimes they're your color, sometimes they're other. These pieces are great. A column is going to be made up of 4 of these plus a topper on it, and they look fantastic on the board. These are nice wooden pieces. Up to 4 players can play. These white blocks are neutral blocks. On a player's turn, they move their worker, and you have to move your worker. And where you can move your worker is to the next, one of the next 3 consecutive 3 spaces that's in front of you in a clockwise direction. So what that means is, it sounds more complicated than it is. Pink can go here, here, or here. One of these 3 spaces. Yellow can't go there because there's only 2 spaces. They can't go here because there's 1. But there are 3 spaces here, so when yellow moves, they can go here, here, or here. And you know what? Incidentally, those are the same 3 spots green and blue can go to. And this is going to change. Let's say pink moves here, and then it's green's turn, so green goes to this spot. Well, now that it's yellow's turn, they go to one of these 3 spots. And now that it's blue's turn, they go to one of these 3 spots. After you go to a spot, you have 2 options. You can draw a card. So there's 4 decks of cards here. You'll draw one from one of the piles. You'll put it in front of you, and you'll add it to your hand at the end of a turn. If the deck is empty, you simply score 2 points. And there is a track on the outside of the board to keep track of your points. Or you can use the action on the spot. Some of these are place a block of your color on top of one of these column spaces. Some of them are place one of yours and also one of the neutral ones. Whenever you place a neutral one, you're going to get the points that are shown underneath it here, 2 points. Sometimes they tell you to draw multiple cards. Sometimes they let you move this neutral worker. He'll move to a spot and you'll take the action with him. Whenever you build in a column, it doesn't really matter which column you build in, but you're going to score points for it. There's a little chart here that shows you the first one is 3 points, then 2, then 1, then 3. Then putting that topper on the top of it is going to be worth 5 points. Now, you're also able to put your dude on the top at the end of the game. You're going to put your dude on the top. Whenever you have the majority anywhere, you're going to show and put your dude on top. So if I put my blue blocks there, I'm going to put this guy on top to show that I'm controlling this spot. Then even if another player comes in, they might take it from me. I mean, they might eventually get 3 here and steal that from me. And then they'll put one of their workers on top of that. But that's going to matter because having a majority here is going to get you 5 points. Also, at different times, there's going to be scoring, and you're going to see who has the most of these columns on the first row. First place gets 5, then 3. In the second level, 10 and 5. Third level, 15 and 8. Then 5 and 3, then 10 and 5. So while putting out the third blocks is only worth 1 point, when it's time to check the majority for them, whoever has the most is going to get 15 points. Now that will be checked at the end of the game in final scoring, but it will also be checked. There are some cards that will cause that scoring to happen. A few other rules are in the game. Like I said, there's these cards. These cards are going to let you do various things, and they'll show you on here what they do. They might act as any of the other cards you can see up here. Here's one that lets you score for one of the levels immediately. This lets you put 2 out. This lets you switch spots with the neutral worker on the board. If you have 3 cards of the same color, you can discard them to take one of these bonus tokens. Like this one here gives you 3, and this one here is going to give you extra points for having the workers on the top at the end of the game. And that's it. The game is going to end when someone puts the last block in the temple, when all these columns are filled. Or someone puts out all their colors out there. You'll finish the round and you'll add up points. There's an Emperor bonus. So if you have an Emperor bonus, there's things that let you put an Emperor bonus token next to a spot on the board. Those are worth 3 points. There is a thing that lets you flip them over into 5 points later on. There's the column majorities, each one where you control the top of a column, will give you 5 points, and then there's the level majorities. Whoever has the most points, plus the points you've earned during the game, is the winner. Now, before we end here, like I said, I wanted to say how much I like these blocks. I think they're fantastic, and I like the different colors that they come in. The whole thing is a little bit of a beautiful production. There is one flaw, though, with this production, and that is, you'll notice there's a whole row of columns here. When we were playing, people were loath to put them here. It doesn't matter where you put them, but once you put them there, trying to grab the stuff from the middle, from that side, you're going to knock things over all the time. And I found that, yes, it looks neat to have this whole big temple going around, but it's functionally, you're worried about knocking stuff over because this is also a play area. So this game has a mixture of things I like with a little bit of things I don't like. And the end result is, unfortunately, a little bit of a forgettable game. I won't forget the stacking of columns. That's neat. And I like the action selection. That's a really cool concept. You pick of the next 3 that are in a group, but someone might jump in there before you do, so then you move 3 ahead. Now, I don't know actually how strategic that is, but it's interesting. You're basically looking at those 3 and going, which one of those do I want? Or am I going to take a card? Cards are good, but you don't often take the cards because there are spots that give you 2 cards, and why would you take 1 card when you can take 2 different cards? But I get why people would take cards. But I like that moving around that bottom board. That's a really fun thing. And it's also fun to build these columns. But here's where the game runs into a big problem with me. The scoring is confusing as all get out. The first one you place is worth 3, then the second one 2, then 1, then 3, then 5. So obviously you don't want that 1. People have a hard time building that 1 because they know the next person's going to get a 3. And if you build a 3, you know the next person who builds on top of you can get a 5. And so you're setting other people up to score a lot. And yes, if you have the majority in that area, you can get 15 points. But you might not have the majority in that area. And that's the thing. These majorities and controlling them and points all felt very much, well, not random, but hey, I can build some stuff. I build this here. I'll take control of this tower. I'll do this. It didn't feel like there was any strategy as to what you did. You just put out columns and you tried to put out stuff that gave you the most points. These cards also that let you do a majority scoring in the middle of a game, and there's several of them, that's insanity to me. That's too many points to score during the game. At the end of the game, if I have the majority on level 3, but at one point you briefly had the majority and then you quick played one of these cards, you did the same as me. So I don't like those cards. The rest of the game is fine. Like I said, moving around the bottom, building the towers up, it's all interesting. It's just that when you're done, when you've scored everything, you look at the board and you go, that was it. You know, there's not a whole lot more coming across through it. So I want to like it more, but I'll give it a 6. It's not a bad game. There's interesting choices to be made. You build things up, but I also feel like a lot of the choices are obvious. Yes, you can fight over majorities, but it's really hard to say, I want to control level 3. That means you need other people to set you up with level 2, and they might not do that because they're just going to be picking the best choice for them at any given point. So when you're done, everyone has a great time, but you're not 100% sure why the winner won. And I don't know that I like that in the game unless you're playing and having a hilarious time. This is just a fun, interesting game to some degree, but one that I think is going to be forgotten very quickly. Other than, hey, these are cool blocks. And I don't think that's a strong enough reason to keep it. I would love to see a game using that mechanism at the bottom for something else. I think that's neat. And the idea of taking an action or card sounds neat in theory, although usually the action's better than the card. But this is something you might like. The front of the box almost has an asterisk and obelisk feel to it. It's not quite. This gives almost a cartoonish vibe to the game, which is really not cartoony at all. It just builds stuff up. But that's Évora. Thanks for watching. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time.